Hello and welcome to the Daily Mill for Friday the 17th of December 2021. Now there's no game tomorrow, as you should probably be aware of by now. The game was postponed due to COVID in Millwall's squad and playing staff. So there will be no preview, of course, because you can't preview a game that isn't going to happen. So what's happening? So what did happen? Well, we got a Tom Bradshaw interview from newsland.co.uk, and we're going to have a little read of that now. How Millwall forward is keeping his end of the bargain and making it impossible to be left out. You've got to make it as hard as possible for the gaffer to leave you out. It's fair to say that Tom Bradshaw is keeping up his end of the bargain at the moment. Bradshaw, 29, has scored 5 goals in his last 7 games. That's his second best run of form in his 4th season with Millwall, after he scored the same number of goals in 4 games in 2019-20. Ironically, the last game in that run was the one just before Gary Rowett took over. Chats with Rowett this season have paid dividends, with Bradshaw encouraged to play off instinct more. Former Barnsley forward Bradshaw has a remarkable record in scoring important goals. Of his 90 goals for the Lions, only 2 have not been any of an equaliser in a game, an equaliser to earn a point, putting a side in front, or a winner. The other 2 goals were the 3rd and 4th in a 3-0 and 4-1 wins. It makes you think what Bradshaw could do in a more free scoring side than Millwall. Bradshaw, though, knows that sometimes something else is required. Matt Smith has proven to be an effective weapon for the side, though that has been used less this season. Jed Wallace and Mason Bennett struck up a brilliantly dynamic and pacey striker partnership last term. Benicophobia arrived this season has shown Premier League quality, going back farther when Bradshaw first arrived for a then club record fee from Barnsley in the summer of 2018-19. Steve Morrison and Lee Gregory were first choice in very much a 4-4-2 under Neil Harris. That November, Bradshaw suffered a season-ending knee injury. All of that partly explains why only 49 of Bradshaw's 86 league games for Millwall have been starts. Bradshaw is definitely not one of those players to throw his toys out of the pram if he's not selected, but that doesn't mean he's not going to put up a big fight to keep the shirt. Every footballer wants to play every game. You wouldn't be a footballer if you didn't have that desire to play week in and week out and score goals and get wins, Bradshaw said. Well, we've got the strongest squad that we've had since I've been at the club. This season we've got a lot of quality and depth in all areas, not just the forward areas. So it's something that you just have to accept, and you've got to make it as hard as possible for the gaffer to leave you out and try to score goals, be effective, get assists, and do whatever possible to make it hard for the manager not to put you in a starting lineup. That's the only thing you can do. Tactically, some games require different personnel to be the most effective of teams. It's something you understand as a player, but it's also about trying your very best to keep the shirt, to try and stay in the team even if there is a tactical change. Millwall could do with Bradshaw's goal touch when, or if, given the number of games that are being called off, they face Swansea at the Den on Boxing Day. Bradshaw scored a lovely goal last Saturday, finishing off an excellent move, but it counted for little as Peterborough came back to a win 2-1. Millwall's inconsistency in recent weeks has frustrated fans. Millwall's 2 defeats in 15 was not just a source of pride, but seemed to be setting them up for a sustained top 6 challenge, but part of that run has overlapped into a sequence of only 1 win in 7. The Den's atmosphere has been edgy at times this season, as they have struggled against the likes of Derby and Luton. Bradshaw insists that doesn't affect the players. It's a really odd thing because you really notice it when you're on the bench or on the sidelines, Bradshaw said. But it's something that hasn't affected me when I've been playing because you're so focused on your job and doing the right things for the team. It's so loud you can barely hear your teammate next to you. It's not something that affects us too much. We know our roles, whatever formation that we play. It's something that you have to deal with anyway as a professional footballer. You've been in it a long time enough. Edginess within the stadium shouldn't affect us at all. So there you go. A little interview from Tom Bradshaw there, just to fill some column inches when there's no game this weekend. So earlier in this week, the accounts were published for Millwall. Figures for the financial year ending June 2021. So what was it? What are they? Well, then they don't look good. COVID-19 disruption saw Mill post 13.1 million operating loss. Mill have published their latest accounts with the impact of COVID-19 pandemic, seeing them making an operating loss of £13.1 million. The figures are for the financial year ending June 2021 show that the Lions' turnover dropped by £4 million from 12 months earlier to £12.4 million. They had a turnover of £18.3 million in 2019 before COVID-19 forced fixtures to be played behind closed doors. Only 2 matches in the 2020-21 season had any fans in attendance, and then the number was capped at 2,000 for the fixtures against Derby County and QPR. Matchday revenue dropped to 1.4 million from 4.3 million. In 2019 it was 5.6 million. Total staff costs increased by 10% to 20.8 million. Mill will also have to find 2.5 million for each of the next 3 seasons to pay back an 8.3 million support loan from the Football League Limited. The loan, solely to be used to repay amounts to HM, Revenue and Customs, is in the EFL's name but is secured against future solidarity payments from the Premier League. All Championship sides took out the support loan. Mill made an operating loss of 10.7 million in the 2020 financial accounts compared to just 700,000 in 2019. So, Mill Chief Executive Steve Kavanagh in the strategic report wrote, "The decrease in revenue is almost wholly attributable to the impact of COVID-19 pandemic, which has had a material impact on matchday revenues. The almost total loss of matchday income was partially offset through streaming from iFollow broadcasts during the season to fans. However, this only partially mitigates the lost income, demonstrating how vital having fans back for live football is to the long-term sustainability of the sport. Outside of the football operations, the club utilised the government's furlough scheme for some of its operational commercial staff to maintain employment during the imposed restrictions and ensure loss of talent due to redundancies was kept to a minimal level. Mill's financial shortfall has been absorbed as always by American owner John Berylson. The long-serving chairman has again had to plug the gap. Talking about the challenges of last season, he told the South London Press in late March, "There are 23 home games and we were averaging almost 15,000 people a game going into lockdown. If you do the math on what the average spend is on tickets and everything else would be, we're losing that. That's just lost revenue, that's just minus, no matter how well you manage a club. And I feel we have great management, but you start with an enormous hole." Indeed, not good, not good. So yeah, that's the COVID there. And how is that going to be? What's that going to do going forward? Now, it's not good for us, but every club in the league's going to suffer the same problem. The only thing is the teams in the Premier League probably not going to be that affected. They have the parachute payments, so they do have that. So are we going to see for the next probably 5 to 10 years 3 clubs come down from the Premier League, 3 clubs go back up, because all the other clubs cannot spend on any money on decent players because they have to pay back these loans that they got from the EFL and stuff, and make up for all the money that they missed out on earning. And they're gonna have to look to their youth team a lot more. I think we might have to be doing the same. We might have to be looking at Alex Mitchell, Isaac Olofi, and players like that. Maybe even Dan Moss. I don't think we can just churn them, bring them in, bring them through the youth team and then just churn them out anymore and let them go. We might actually have to use some of them. Yeah, we won't. I think. But again, if everyone in the league is in the same position, that might be. They might even the playing field and help us out. Except for the top 3. So you can imagine the prospect of us finishing in the top two is it's going to be just a pipe dream. It's going to be crazy talk, because you're going to have 3 teams from the Premier League come down with the parachute payments. You're going to be able to wipe the budgets of every other team in the Championship, blow them out of the water, for at least the next 5 years, I would assume. Which is quite funny. Now, I say that, but the record of the Premier League teams in terms of going down and going back up, it's not too good, because they do have to churn a lot of players out. What I mean by that is, when they go down, they often let a lot of players go, and then they have to they have to bring in like specialist Championship players, and it's not easy. It's not easy to do that, and it's not easy to get them to gel, to get them to play, to get them to do a job in a certain way, and then to crack on, and then just hit the ground running and go back up. It really isn't that easy. A lot of teams don't go straight back up from the Premier League when they get relegated into the Championship. So, I don't know, this is ominous indeed. So, moving on now to we're going to finish the video with this. So, with all the postponements and cancellations and stuff, we have the Santa Dash that was supposed to take place, I think, this week, and it's been pushed back to Boxing Day. So, Millwall Santa Dash, supporting the Millwall Community Trust. Millwall Football Club's 2nd annual Santa Dash will take place on Sunday, the 26th of December. Why wouldn't you want to run 4km dressed as Santa Claus, all in the name of charity? In aid of the brilliant Millwall Community Trust, and in partnership with London City Runners, participants will assemble at the Den for a 10 AM start and run 4 kilometres, 2 away from the stadium and 2 back. Adult tickets are priced at £25, which includes a blue Santa costume, and junior under 16 tickets are priced at £15, which includes an elf costume. Get your steps in to raise money for the MCT before watching the Lions take on Swansea City here in SE16. Click here to purchase your Santa Dash tickets now. So there you go, a bit of fun. If you have a massive Christmas dinner though, I imagine there's going to be a fair few pavement pizzas, vomit stations, as people, if they've overindulged on Christmas Day, 10 AM the next day and Boxing Day, they try and run for 4km and they end up throwing up. I wouldn't be surprised, but there you go. If that's your thing, there you go. So that's been moved to Boxing Day. Anyway, so that's it for today's video. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.